Ladies and gentlemen, the Trump administration has just ramped up the pressure big time on all of the people currently living inside of our country that refuse to read, write, or even speak English at a basic level. And so, folks, I have a feeling that all of you are going to enjoy today's video. However, before we get into today's big bombshell news, I want to give all of you guys some background information here. Let's break it down. As you all know, we've all been led to believe that our nation has always been one big melting pot and that immigrants ought to assimilate once they arrive. Well, generally speaking, have all of the immigrants actually been melting into the pot, so to speak? Have they all been actually assimilating? As it would turn out, and this might come as a shock to some of you depending on where you live in the country, but recent data confirms that right now, there are over 25 million people in the country that are incapable of speaking English at even a basic level. So to be painfully clear about all of this, right now, 8% of the US population over the age of 5 quite literally can't speak any English whatsoever. Folks, 8% of the people in this country can't even communicate in basic English. So with all of that being said, let me go ahead and ask everyone in the audience a question here. Does it seem like all of these people have been melting into the pot, so to speak, and assimilating? Yeah, no. And so this is why President Trump actually passed an executive order a couple of months ago mandating that English is now the official language of the land, as if that wasn't already painfully obvious. In fact, take a look at what that executive order actually had to say. From the founding of our republic, English has been used as our national language. Our nation's historic governing documents, including the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, have all been written in English. It is therefore long past time that English is declared as the official language of the United States. A nationally designated language is at the core of a unified and cohesive society, and the United States is strengthened by a citizenry that can freely exchange ideas in one shared language. And so, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Case closed. If you want to exist in this country, you need to speak English. Here's the cold hard truth. As a nation, we should not be going out of our way to accommodate people who come into our country and then refuse to even learn our language. If anything, we should actually refuse to accommodate these people, ultimately forcing them to either assimilate and learn our language, that's English by the way, or leave the country altogether and go back to wherever they came from. And so folks, this is where we actually get to today's bombshell news. But first, I do want to say real quick that if you guys enjoy the daily news updates, please consider subscribing to the channel because it really does help a ton. But okay, take a look at this bombshell report.
Truck drivers in DeKalb County, they were just ticketed for not speaking English, making them some of the first in the state ticketed under President Trump's executive order reinstating an English-speaking mandate.
Well, Margot, this mandate requiring all truck drivers to speak English has actually been on the books since the 1930s. Now, the president and CEO of the Alabama Trucking Association tells me that guidelines from the Obama administration loosened enforcement and lowered penalties. Now, this executive order brings back that original mandate, and we're already seeing Alabama state troopers enforcing it.
This is a ticket written by a state trooper in DeKalb County against a truck driver from Texas. This one, the driver was from Florida. What they have in common, the tickets say the drivers couldn't speak English.
The English language proficiency standard has been there for a long time.
These are some of the first tickets issued after the president's executive order reinstated enforcement and penalties in late June. Mark Colson, the president and CEO of the Alabama Trucking Association, says the order reverses an Obama administration memo and now takes the driver off the road.
It's all about safety. It's all about being able to read the rules of the road, being able to communicate with law enforcement and the general public.
Huntsville truck driver Jose Reyes says he wasn't surprised to already see tickets written. This bilingual first-generation American says he's had to translate for drivers who have been in accidents before.
I think it would be a shock to a lot of people. Drivers are out here on the road. They're operating, 80,000 pounds, and it's super dangerous. and they can't communicate, they can't read road signs. That's where the safety part of it comes in, is being able to get those drivers off the road because they can't read or write basic English.
And so, folks, we have a lot to talk about here. Let's get right into it. First, I just have to say that we are only 6 months into President Trump's second term, and already people that can't speak English are getting fined. Personally, this is exactly what I voted for. You know, I think it goes without saying that truck drivers of all people should obviously be forced to speak English if they want to keep their job at least. This is a no-brainer. But you know what? Why not everybody that's driving a car? Listen, the average American automobile is right around 4,500 pounds, which means that if you can't even understand English at a basic level, meaning that you don't even know the basic rules of the road, it would be pretty darn easy to get into a pretty serious car accident. And by the way, this isn't just some random conjecture on my part. Check this out. A 2013 study from the California State Department of Motor Vehicles actually found that unlicensed drivers, almost all of whom are illegal aliens in California, were over 3 times more likely to cause fatal car accidents. Folks, this is a big-time problem, and one very immediate way to solve it is to not only start cracking down on illegal aliens, but also to start mandating English proficiency tests across the country. If you want to live in the United States of America, you need to speak English. This is honestly such a basic concept that, frankly, we shouldn't even have to be having this discussion. If you ask me, go ahead and call me a radical, I don't really care. We should have nationwide English-speaking workplace mandates across the country, English only in the public school system, English proficiency tests for anyone that wants to get a long-term visa in the United States of America, and of course, if you want to drive an automobile, you need to speak English. Pretty much what I'm trying to say here is that my dream is to never need to press 2 for English ever again. Wouldn't that be nice? I don't know. Maybe I sound a little bit extreme here, but at some point we have all got to collectively stop tolerating the cultural overthrow of our own country. As I said earlier, right now, 8% of the people in this country can't even speak English at a basic level. And so here, ladies and gentlemen, is a very pertinent question. How high does that number have to get before we all finally say enough is enough? 10%, 20%, 50%? Here's my opinion. It should be 0%. This country was built by English speakers for English speakers. And by the way, they all explicitly said as much. But you know what? Take a listen to what none other than Elon Musk recently had to say about what's really at stake here. Let it play.
The mass immigration is insane and will lead to the destruction of any country that allows unfettered mass immigration. That country will simply cease to exist. At the end of the day, it is a numbers game, a numbers situation. If there are 8 billion people in the world, and let's say you're a country of, 50 million, 60 million, or for a medium-sized country, but even for a country like the United States, which is 350 million, given that there are 8 billion people in the world, it only takes a few percent of the rest of the world to move to the country to where it is no longer that country. A country is not its geography. A country is its people. This is a fundamental concept that is truly obvious.
And so, folks, let me give all of you a hypothetical situation here. If we were to take 100,000 good old red, white, and blue American patriots from deep in the countryside and drop them off in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, you know what would happen? They would start to rebuild America in the middle of the damn jungle. And you want to know why? It's because of what Elon Musk said. To a very large degree, a country is less about the land and more about the people that live on the land. It's the spirit, it's the culture, really, it's what's in your blood. And so, hey, when we're talking about President Trump cracking down on people that refuse to assimilate into our country and learn to speak English at even a basic level, good. The message is this: respect our country and our culture or get out. And so, folks, I don't know about all of you, but personally, This is exactly what I voted for.